What's up, NFL fans? Welcome to another episode of Four Down Territory. I'm your host, Luke Easterling, alongside my friend Doug Farrar. As always, we're going to take you around the NFL, tackle the biggest storylines that we saw this past week. Another crazy week, Doug, on the field. But we're going to start off the field with a bigger issue that goes beyond the sport. Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown recently opened up about his struggles with depression, even thoughts of suicide. Lane Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles earlier this season took a few games off for mental health reasons. Calvin Ridley, the Falcons' top receiver, isn't even on the active roster right now as he takes some time away from the game for the same reasons. What does this tell us about the NFL in 2021, particularly the fact that these guys have had so much support from their teams and their coaches and teammates surrounding this issue?
I think the fact that the players are speaking up, Luke, is important. I think the support from coaches and teammates is doubly important. I mean, as you know, football has always been the ultimate tough guy sport. You rub dirt on it, you don't talk about your feelings. If you have a concussion, you hide it. Well, we know so much more about the importance of mental health in a high-stress business. We know so much more about the connections between repeated head trauma and depression, anxiety, thoughts of suicide. Sadly, go no further than, Junior Seau and Dave Duerson on that. So the fact that the NFL, while the NFL gets a lot of stuff off the field wrong, I think the NFL has handled this very well. There are in-house mental health professionals. The league has taken a proactive stance on this. And while it's easy for us on the outside to say, oh, these guys are rich, they're famous, they can do whatever they want, what problems do they have? Being in the public eye, a lot of times it makes those problems even more present in a person's just day-to-day life. So the fact that the NFL is really circling in on this and making it a priority, and players are able to, without fear of stigma down the road, you're not going to get a contract because you took 3 games off to take care of your mentals, as Marshawn Lynch likes to say. I think it's a very important thing, and I certainly hope it keeps going forward because this is not something we can backslide on.
No, I echo everything you just said, Doug. And honestly, this is just such an important issue, for humanity at large. It goes beyond the game, like I said, and for fans and other people to see NFL players not just being open and honest about their struggles, but also seeing the support network that has been rallying around them. Like I said, the league itself, the teams, the coaches. That I think is huge, and kudos to those players for having the courage to be vulnerable and speak out about this, and also for their coaches and teammates and the organizations to continue rallying around them. Honestly, it's that kind of support that I hope everyone can have with regards to these issues.
Absolutely.
Moving on, something that shouldn't surprise us at all, right? It might have been surprising based on how they started the season, but the Patriots are in first place in the AFC East right now. Are we about to see another vintage Bill Belichick run into the playoffs here?
Death, taxes, and Bill Belichick coming on strong near the end of the season. I think this is a real thing. Mac Jones is exactly the type of quarterback Belichick wants. It's not, deep downfield yet, but the run game is a real problem for opposing defenses, and that defense is just, they've outscored their opponents 70-7 in the last 2 games. Their defense has scored as many touchdowns, 1, as it's allowed, and you just get the feeling like the train is back on the track, and here we go all over again. The opt-outs are back in. Last season, I think Belichick knew it was kind of a waste year for a number of reasons, and yeah, now they're back. So here we go again. It's inevitable, like it or not.
Yeah, I was going to say, it really shouldn't be much of a surprise, right? My brother asked me about this same thing on Sunday while we were watching the games, and, well-coached teams who take care of the football and don't make a ton of stupid mistakes are always going to be competitive, right? And obviously that's what the Pats have been Bill's entire tenure. It's who they are this season. Whether or not they can sustain that through the rest of their schedule, obviously could be another story. Mac Jones has been impressive, but those are some tough matchups they have down the stretch. He's a rookie. Will he hit that wall, and will it get more difficult for him? Obviously, they're going to need to keep executing on a high level on both sides of the ball moving forward. And honestly, the thing that worries me most is how much we've seen across the rest of the league, how quickly things can change just in a week or two.
Well, they were the 6th seed before the Browns game. Now they're the 3 seed. The rest of the AFC seems content on tearing itself apart. I think the Patriots are going to have a pretty wide berth. And if the Bills think they don't need to score up their run defense, for those Patriots games, they got another thing coming.
Now, Doug, moving on to teams that are still under 500 but have a chance to make a run here, right? The Chiefs were 3-4 after their 27-3 loss in Week 7 to the Titans. Patriots were 2-4 after their Week 6 loss to the Cowboys. Now we've got Kansas City and New England. They're the teams nobody wants to face, right? So, with a 17-game season, there's even more time to kind of get it right down the stretch. Which team that's under 500 right now is the most dangerous team in the league?
I think it's the Panthers, and you start with Cam Newton, and not only the passing game, but what that adds to the run game, because now you've got Cam and Christian McCaffrey and the offensive line, and all of a sudden you can't play too high against these guys, or Cam would just eat your lunch. The touchdown pass to DJ Moore was straight out of Joe Brady's LSU playbook, so quarterback and OC are on the same page. That defense is quietly good, although inconsistent. I don't think the Panthers are going to win the NFC South or anything, but they could be a sneaky 6 or 7 seed and make some noise in the wild card. I think they're a team to watch out for.
Yeah, Doug, I do like the Panthers here. I'm going to stay in the NFC, but I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. This defense is making big plays right now. I still don't think Jalen Hurts is getting enough credit for what he brings to that offense. I know there's been a lot of criticism about what he doesn't. I don't see that. I think he's dynamic, and I think he brings something unique that is really difficult for opposing defensive coordinators, something we saw on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. They finally found an effective ground game to kind of keep that offense balanced, open things up for those playmakers that Jalen Hurts has in the passing game. But also look at that schedule, Doug. They finished the season with the Giants twice, Washington twice, they get the Jets before they close out against the Cowboys. Obviously a tough matchup there, but the way they're playing on both sides of the ball right now, they could easily go 5-0 over this stretch here.
The big difference right now, Hurts is playing more under shotgun, and the huge difference is he's not bailing the pocket at the first sign of trouble. That is a major step forward for him.
All right, Doug, to wrap it up now, on Sunday we saw, it was supposed to be the game of the week, right? Chiefs versus Cowboys, Dak Prescott versus Patrick Mahomes. There's a connection here I'll get to in a second, but with the way the Cowboys offense has been stopped in these last few games against Denver a couple weeks ago and now against Kansas City, have those teams given other teams a blueprint, if you will, to slow down Dak Prescott in this offense?
Well, blueprint is always a sketchy term, but I think in both cases, both the Chiefs and the Broncos played heavy man match coverage across the board. They just pasted themselves to Dallas's receivers. They didn't care. Explosive offense, we don't care. We're going to shut you down this way. The other factor, Dak coming into Week 11 against the Blitz, 16 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Just ridiculous. Well, the Broncos blitzed him 7 times. The Chiefs blitzed him 14. All 4 of Chris Jones' sacks came with pressure with 4. They showed blitz and backed off. That's a good blueprint for any quarterback, and I think, will other teams have the Jimmies and Joes to do those X's and O's? We're going to find out.
Yeah, that was going to be my point. I think this is the same conversation we had about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs after the Super Bowl last year and through the early going of this season when they had some struggles. So obviously the short answer is yes, there's a blueprint there, but it's way easier said than done, right? Every defense wants to be able to go out there and just rush 4 and get after the quarterback, right? Every defensive coordinator would love to just run out there and keep things simple, lock everybody up in press man, and just have everybody get home all the time. Everybody would love to do that. I don't think everybody can. I think it's, you've got to have the horses up front. You've got to have the guys in the back end to do those things, and not everybody's going to have that. So, obviously if more teams are going to try based on what they've seen, but I'm skeptical that it'll actually work for everybody if they don't have the personnel.
The other factor is showing aggressive coverage looks and then spinning your safety out. The Chiefs did that a ton with Tyrann Mathieu, and it really worked.
It really did. It really did, Doug. And that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of 4 Down Territory. I'm Luke Easterling for Doug Farrar. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.